Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalzar from Hive Mind Gaming with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're gonna take a special look at gear. I've been talking a lot about it throughout the beginner's guide series that I'm doing, and so I've talked a little bit about the gear, but there was a lot of stuff that was confusing when I was a younger player in the game, and I just wanted to touch over some of that stuff and then go over some of the basics for those of you that haven't played before. So basically, the first thing is about rarity versus stars. So in most games, there's always a rarity, and the higher rarity of the item that you get, the better it is. In this game, it's not necessarily true. The rarity is not as important as the stars are. And what that means is a 2-star common is not always worse than a 1-star uncommon. And as you can see, that's why they put them in this order. That's why the 2 stars, no matter what their rarity, are always going to be higher than a 1 star. And the reason is because the numbers are going to be slightly different. So for instance, yeah, here we go. We'll just use these. All right. So this is a 3-star shield. The max for it will be 155. 155 will be the max defense for that shield. Now, if we go to this 4-star shield, the max will be 190. And that's based on the number of stars. It has nothing to do with the rarity. Now, where rarity comes in is based off of the numbers that you see here and based off of how many substats you see. So when you're leveling up an item, let's take these boots right here. So when you're leveling up this item, and once you get to level 4, you unlock the first substat. Then once you get to level 8, you unlock the second. 12 is the third, and 16, which is the highest all gear can get, is the highest level, and it will unlock your fourth and final substat. Now, if you get an uncommon, it will have your first substat unlocked already. So once you get to level 4, this will have a little asterisk or a little number next to it in parentheses, and with a number 1, and then this number will go up a rank. Will just go up a percentage. And then once you get to level 8, you'll unlock your second substat, and then 12, and then 16. And then if you have a blue rare item, it will have 2. And then once you get to 4, one of these randomly will get an upgrade. And then at 8, one of these randomly will get an upgrade. As you can see up here, I got 2 in speed and 1 in hit points. And then at 12, you will get a third item upkeep. And then at 16, you'll get your fourth. If you have a purple one, which is the epic, you will have 3 substats unlocked. And one will get upgraded at 4, one at 8, and one at 12. And then at 16, you will get your last one. If you have a legendary piece of equipment, then you will get an upgrade to one of those at 4, 8, 12, and at 16. So that's the only 2 things about rarity that's important. One, it helps these numbers be higher, and 2, it helps with when you're leveling it. It gives one of them a boost to that number. So, other than that, the stars are the most important thing because they will help your primary stat it will make your primary stat higher. So that's why you're always looking to increase your star level, and that's another reason why when you're first beginning account, you you don't want to level anything up usually past 8. Very rarely will you go past 12 on gear. If it's level 3 or lower, I wouldn't go past 8. If it's level 4, like these are actually pretty good gloves, and these are actually pretty good boots. So those can actually be taken up to 12. Now this one, actually, I was leveling up a little further because the monthly quest says you have to have a piece of gear to 16. Um, so I started working on that to get it up there to possibly finish that quest. But we'll see if we actually get there or not. All right, so the next thing we want to take a look at is what the actual stats mean and what pieces have what stats. So any of these pieces, the weapon, the helm, the shield, the boots, the gloves, and the chest piece, can all have the same secondary stats. So any of them can roll these stats. It's just random, just RNG. But if we go to the primary stats, the weapons can only have a flat rate attack as their primary stat. They're the only ones. That's the only primary stat. The helmet can only have the flat rate HP. And the shield can only have the flat rate defense. Now, if we go to the gauntlets, gauntlets can have any of these. So the HP, the 2 HPs, the 2 attacks, and the 2 defenses. And it can also have crit rate and crit damage. So the gauntlets are the only one that can have these two stats. And then the chest piece can have any of these, and it's the only one that can also have resist or accuracy as its primary stat. And then the boots can have any of these, and it's the only piece of gear that can have speed as its primary stat. That's why a lot of people will farm certain dungeons and certain campaign areas for speed boots, because you'll want speed as your primary stat on the boots. Now, this is a very good tool to use, this filter. It's fairly new to the game. So when you get a brand new character that you really like, or you somehow pull a legendary, then you can always hit the equip button, tell it what you want, or let's say for speed boots. So then you can just go through and go, okay, this is my legendary, so I want it to have the best gear. So you can just hit the equip button and look through here and see what gear you want to put on it. Keep in mind right here, it's not going to show these boots because this is the champion we're on. So it's not going to show the gear that he's wearing in this list. But I guess it really doesn't matter, because if I want to compare, I can just click on that and click on that, and I can compare the stats right there. And then it also shows you off to the side here too what your stats would look like if that piece was on there. And it does take in consideration stat bonuses. So for instance, if you had a defense weapon and you were trying to test this out, and you were looking at the defense, it would show the number that it would show right here would take in consideration that extra 15% defense that the gear set would give you as well. So that's basically how that works. Now, the important part about gear that you really need to know is the percentage piece is always going to be better than the flat rate piece. So a maxed out flat rate chest piece that has flat rate HP, and then you have another percentage HP percent maxed out chest piece. This one's going to add more HP to your character. As you can tell, I've been farming a lot of the campaign, so I've got quite a bit of gear now. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to take that off, and then I want to hit that, and I want to hit these three, because I don't want to delete these guys. This one has flat rate defense, flat rate HP, and flat rate attack. So we don't want to get rid of those pieces, because they don't have a choice. They are automatically that. But now for gauntlets, chest piece, and boots, we don't want to use the equipment that have those 3 stats. So there's a sell button right here in the corner, which a lot of people miss. I can't tell you how many people I've had to show that to because they just overlooked it because it's easy to overlook. And I've been wanting to clean this out for a while now, but I wanted to wait until I did the equipment video. And I would like I said, I would only suggest doing this once you've farmed a little and got a little gear under your belt, because like this pair of boots, it's a 4-star pair of boots, but it's attack 16. It's just not worth it. It's not going to add enough attack to your. Now here's the sickening part right here, guys. This is RNG at its best. So this is gear that I got out of the tournament for winning the tournaments. So I got 2 sets of 6 for winning first place in the tournaments. That means both of these boots are totally useless to me. Completely and utterly useless to me. And that's sickening. So, and then that pair of gloves as well. So now that's a 4-piece set that I got 12 pieces for so far, and I've already lost 3 of them. Alright, so we're just going to continue. That's another big loss right there. That's epic. So that's a huge loss as well. So, and it's unfortunate, but you've got to realize that even though it's hard to let those things go, you've got to let them go. And the reason is because of this right here in the top left corner, which when you first start a campaign, you're really not going to, this is not going to be an issue for you. But eventually you will hit this number. I promise you. You will hit that number and you'll be looking for stuff to delete. Because once this number hits, they'll start putting it in your mailbox. And you only have 300 spots in your mailbox. So I do know that there are some people out there that use their mailbox to hold gear as they're finding it so that they can relocate it. And this is where it sucks that it costs silver to pull gear off of champions, because I know a lot of people hide their gear or store their gear on their champions as well. So champions that they know they're not going to use, they put some of their they put gear on them that they think that they could possibly use at a later date. So they just slap it on them to get it out of their inventory here. So the same thing goes for accessories, rings, amulets, and banners. They're pretty much the exact same thing. You can just look at here. The ring can only have a primary stat of HP, attack, and defense, where an amulet can have the HP, attack, defense, and crit damage. So this and your gauntlets are the only ones that can have these as the primary stat. And then last but not least is the banner, and it can have HP, attack, defense, resist, and accuracy as its primary stat. Now, as for secondary stats, it shows that it can have anything. This one shows it can have anything, and this one shows that it can have anything. There's lots of things about this game that is a little fishy. Well, so anyway, so that's the basics on the filter, how that works, how your this is a separate inventory, by the way, guys. You have 700 spots for accessories, and then 700 spots for artifacts. So 2 separate things. The last thing I want to say about artifacts or about gear is this right here, and I've mentioned it in another video, but I just want to go back over it since this is the beginner's guide to equipment. Is you got to look at what the character, and this is something I screwed up on a lot. I got about mid game. I think I watched some random YouTuber, and actually it wasn't a random YouTuber. I think it was Hell Hades. Shout out to him because he's fantastic. I mean, heck, he's one of my idols. So I really like his style. So anyway, he mentioned, like, just briefly about the attack type, And then it dawned on me I've been doing it wrong this whole time. So it's very important. So I had to go through and re-gear every one of my defense and HP base guys, because it tells you what their damage is based on in their kit. So for instance, Kel's ability is based damage is based on attack. Damage is based on attack, and damage is based on attack. So that means that this stat right here is where his damage is coming from. And then we look at this the American Knight here, Arbiter, and we look at his, and his says damage is based on defense, and then of course the enemy max HP, which is a total different story altogether, and then damage is based on defense. Now what that means is his damage is based off of this stat. So that means all of his gear needs to be based off of defense. Now, keep in mind, this is always going to be attack, so there's nothing you can do about that. But when you're gearing someone out like this, you want to make sure that their secondary stats don't have attack. I mean, obviously it's going to be hard to do. I mean, even now in my primary account, I have HP characters and defense character have attack in their gear. It's only because I don't have a better piece to put in its place. So you will find it. It looks like I got there's one. That's because I got him in speed boots. So this is a totally useless substat for him. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can do is wait till I find a better set of boots for him. So, but everything else you want: defense percent, HP percent, probably because I didn't have another defense percent chest piece. So that's exactly what I would be looking for here is a defense percent chest piece and gloves. And then possibly at some point, if the idea is to get crit rate up to 100% on your damage dealers. So he's a damage dealer, so I would be looking for crit rate in my gear and my substats, so that I could put either defense percent or crit damage gloves on him here. That way I can make the most out of his gear. The problem is it's really hard to min-max your gear, and you won't even need to worry about that until you're getting toward end game. So I wouldn't actually worry about that kind of thing until you get a large influx of gear that you can actually, put them side by side and go, okay, both of these are 6-star gear, both of them are legendary, but who's got the best substats? And then on top of that, who got the better roll when it hit level 4? Where did that extra point go into to raise what stat? And you want, that's where you want your speed increases and your crit rate or your crit damage or accuracy if you're dealing with a champion that needs accuracy. So it's really what stats you want on your character and how you can finagle it. It's kind of like Tetris. I loved Tetris when I was a kid, so it's kind of like that. It's kind of like Tetris. You got to Tetris your gear to fit the stats, where you want your stats to be once you get to end game. So, but other than that, guys, that's all I've got about the gear. We'll go more into depth about when or where you can get the gear when we start doing the dungeon content. So just keep an eye out on the channel for those. They'll be coming soon. I appreciate you watching, and if you like the video, please hit like and or subscribe. Leave any comments about what you'd like to see next. I love to chat with you guys. As you can see, any of my other videos that have comments, I love responding to you guys and chatting you up. So as you can tell, I love to talk. So there you go, whether it be written or speaking. So anyway, have a great day, guys. See you next time. Bye.